Boo.
Vinny is a man, always doing what he can, growing up tough.
Yep, no pronouns here. I'm the man. How are you, everybody? Happy Saturday evening, the last day of February. I'm sure us in the Northeast appreciate that, but we've had some bad weather in March, and hopefully this isn't one of the months that decides to give us the bad weather. How are you, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Now, last night, yes, it is officially last night. It's not too late. Emmanuel, how are you? Rocktober. Thanks. Hey, then I was having computer problems. I was on the road, got home, did my music shorts, and had to go out for a bit. Came back, and the computer was all what's a good Jewish word for my Jewish friends? Fakakta. Look it up, and it means fucked. So what I did was I figured I'd reschedule, and then guess what? It wasn't a blue screen. Hey, Mitch, it wasn't any kind of screen. I thought I was gonna have to go buy a computer tomorrow. Then I was gonna start begging for super chats, but thankfully you're off the hook. You don't have to send me any money. So I have this thing with my son where he is really into that Scream franchise. Probably started out because he was really into Friends, that show. Hi, Danae. So he went on to like Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston. So to make a long story short, a few years ago, I went toward midnight when it was first released. His birthday is next Friday on the 6th. It came out yesterday, and guess who went last night? It wasn't toward midnight. We went like at 9 o'clock in the city, a great movie theater where 300 years ago, I saw with my ex-fiance Back to the Future. And I went kicking and screaming to the movie, and I liked it so much that I ran to Shout, which was about 9 blocks away with her at midnight, telling my friend Jeff about it. And he said, I thought you didn't want to go. Well, when you look like her, you do a lot of things that you don't want to do. So anyway, Scream 7, went to it. I didn't go begrudgingly because, I like to spend time with my son. And trust me, I watch everything. So should I have watched this? Should I recommend it? Well, I'll give you a couple of reasons why maybe you should skip it, but I don't want to do that because then I'm kind of going against my son. This is nearly 3 years after Scream 6 came out, and it became Scream 6 the highest grossing movie of the new rebooted franchise. So why not do Scream 7, right? And it's been a crazy, from what I've read, tumultuous journey from writing the script to the screen. There's a new leading lady, Melissa Barrera, very cute, not too good an actress. She was fired for her social media posts about the war in Gaza. Jenna Ortega, who was the biggest name in both 5 and 6, dropped out shortly after that. So there was a last-minute rewrite and very public salary negotiations with one of the stars who missed the last movie, Neve Campbell. But she returned after sitting out because she made headlines because she thought it was an insulting offer last time they kissed and made up, and she's in this one. So the original cast members returning also made headlines long in advance. So that ruined the element of surprise. But I'm not going to tell you. Well, I already told you Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell. So I kind of ruined it for you already. Kevin Williamson, who's the writer of the original film and its first sequel, returns here. But he also returns in the director's chair as well. I don't like when people do both. He did Teaching Mrs. Tingle back like 25 years ago. So, a little long in the tooth. Now, all the baggage that the Scream movies have had with the salary negotiations and the rewrite and firing this one and that one, it's a franchise known for its commentary on horror films and their conventions. They always wind up in the storyline one way or another. Now, we have a new Ghostface killer in a quiet town where Nev Campbell's character, Sydney, she's built a new life. And her worst nightmare, no pun intended, has come true as she's realized that her daughter has become the next target. So she wants to protect her family at all costs. And she really won't talk about her past with her daughter, who asks her, and a couple of other people who do. So she has to face the horrors of the past to put an end to this bloodshed once and for all. Yeah, until 2 years from now when the Scream 8. Essentially, what she must do is square off against the worst fear that any parent has, their 17-year-old kid. So there's a cold opening kill sequence. That's the highlight of the movie. And that blonde, who was killed off after about 7 minutes, should have been the lead because she's beautiful. And I think she's a much better actress than the blonde who played Sydney's daughter. But that's just my opinion. We're introduced to a forgettable new set of teens, which, I'm getting sick of the 4 or 5 teen friends who always go through this. Enough already. But the return of familiar characters saves it with Courtney Cox's Gail, Mason Gooding, Jasmine Savoy Brown. It's kind of like half of the core 4. And then you got the whodunit. And that kicks in because you never know who it is. And every 30 minutes, you think you know who the killer is. And you end up being wrong, usually. So I don't want to go into spoiler territory. But the biggest problem with this movie, it's finally gone full transition. A genre within itself to now a phenomenon that becomes even larger since the reboot in 22. Because there's kind of new rules in this 26 version of Ghostface. It points to nostalgia a bit. It references Halloween, Laura Strode's trauma. Even the character can't get away from the topic fast enough. Like, enough. It's crazy. And then Sidney Prescott comes back. That's Courtney. And she gets tormented again. So Kevin Williamson basically made this movie with Halloween H20, but they renamed it pretty much. So if you want your cake and you eat it too, you have deep fakes and AI. The kids are older now. They're the newer generation. I don't even know what they call themselves. I don't know. Uppercase Z. What are they? And it's fertile ground, AI, and mentioning AI and seeing AI as the killer is using it, if you want to make it modern. Okay? And it does. The iconic use of phone calls, which for the last almost 30 years has been common. Now it's kind of low rent. It's like a cheap feeling, but it's constantly contradicting itself, Scream 7. Because Sydney flat out says that a certain plot element would make for a better story than the movie is actually doing. She says that, talking about how they're trying to kill this killer, get this killer, and they think, well, this would make more sense if we did it this way. If it was this, they're telling you the movie sucks. It's satire at its best. The ending, the killer's big, who motivated me? Like, why did I do this? It's clearly meant to make fun. of some Scream fans in their reaction to the last movie, but it endorses it in a silly way. But there's some stuff that's good. The cold opening is scary and it's real good. It's about a 7-minute scene, and it's more playful than the rest of the movie, actually. And I think because the two actors are better. These two 17, 18-year-old, a guy and a girl that go to the replicated house where all this stuff happened, like a museum where you could stay there uh, for a night. They're much better actors than for the rest of the hour and 40 minutes or whatever. Now, the couple are, very modern. Um, it's what really you're looking for. And when you watch this first 7, 8 minutes, wow, this is going to be good. You don't see a lot of shots of Ghostface lingering in the background that are menacing or really creepy. Now, Williamson, yeah, I don't think he's a great director. He doesn't have a lot of experience in it. The set is good, but it's always a small town, one store. You don't see any set pieces, but it has a very modern problem. It's too dark. And that happens sometimes, even in this kind of movie. Uh, Sydney doesn't discuss her trauma with her daughter. And the sequel kind of got there first with this kind of information, where both parent and kid are aloof now, where she thinks she's helping her daughter. And then she becomes a badass at the end. Now, Scream in 22 or 23, it came out. It was almost like a reference to The Last Jedi by having killers' motivations revolve around fans' reaction to Stab 8, which is the movie in which they work off of in the movie. And it's almost real events coming life imitating art. But it's kind of come full circle, like Rise of Skywalker, right? A bizarre attempt to kind of like correct, almost apologizing for the last movie. Like, we're sorry, Nev Campbell wasn't in it. And they jokingly said like she sat out the last one. I don't think it's great. Now, I've watched them all. I remember Scream 3 was terrible in the 2000s. The meter of this is uneven. Now, the social commentary is okay. And social media and AI is introduced, which is, I really think, good. But that great phone ring was once the calling card. Now you see laptops. He didn't quite go to basics, Williamson. And I think that hurt him a bit, to be honest with you. Now, look, anytime you're a Scream fan, you're going to like it. It's like me watching the history of the Beatles and then hearing the new song now and then, which isn't all that good a song. We wouldn't even make a Beatle album 40 years ago, but now it's like, oh my God, a Beatles song. So you just wait for it. So whether you love or hate the franchise, it's hard at least not to respect it because it's been going on for 30 years. Um, you know, lazy slasher sequels, stab, rinse, repeat. So for 30 years, they've been getting you with one tried and true premise. Teenagers running around like nuts and you don't know who the killer is. So it's become a soap opera. It's trying to appeal to a savvier generation of younger fans with the social media and all that. Nothing's going to rival the 96 original. But I don't think there's been a bad Scream movie. But usually once you get to 6, 7, 8 movies, you pretty much it has nothing to do with the first movie. Think about it. When you do if you did The Godfather 5, it wouldn't have anything to do with 1. Everyone's dead. These are new characters. You hardly remember the other ones, and the names just maybe are the same. So that's what happens when you prolong series. You try so hard to make them different to garner a new audience. They're nothing like the original series, so it's not really a repeat on the series. It's like a new movie, and you better hope you did well. So even with less effective moments, there's always a buzz and energy when this is going to come out. It's scrappy, it's passable. It's a new chapter. It kind of limps in because it was so good the first few minutes. Now, it's crazy. Originally the story was supposed to be about the Carpenter sisters in the hit relaunch, but Melissa Barrera spoke about genocide, and it was back to the drawing board. They rewrote the whole thing. And the drawing board was just a headshot of Neve Campbell, the original Scream Queen, and a bunch of dollar signs next to it because she turned down the sixth one, like I said, because it was a low ball offer and she said, go to hell. She had 7 million reasons to rejoin. And she's back in center stage. And even an amusing, why weren't you in New York? Referenced by some old friends because the last one took place in New York 3 years ago. Now, sometimes you can go back to the original writer, Kevin Williamson, along with the second and fourth, I think he did. And those were 3 of the best, probably. And he had a lot of help from Wes Craven with those. Craven was a co-writer. Now he's kind of on his own. And it's years later. Was McCartney as good without John Lennon? Well, Wes Craven is an icon in this. So not having Wes Craven by his side, probably not going to be as good. And we had some cameos from characters that we assumed were dead. They were dead, but they were cameos. So, it's always been a series that prided itself on goofy Scooby-Doo stuff. But really, the suspense now is to see how goofy and stupid it gets. Not even the stabbings. It's like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do now that it's totally ridiculous, go over the top. And, Sydney is tortured. There's a new killer. Her eldest daughter is Tatum. If you like Yellowstone, Isabel May. Now she throws actually the timeline in question. But it's okay. I didn't love it, but then again, I don't love those movies. I loved it more because I was spending time with Vinny Jr. The problem with it, the bar is probably set lower now because once you get to all these sequels, you run out of material. To do a seventh of anything doesn't work. But the problem is the Scream sequels the bar is high. It had signs of life, and I'm sure it'll be an 8. Neve Campbell will probably get disgusted chasing and probably become a killer. But, it's okay. I just think that these movies, I'd rate it 6 out of 10. The one 2 years, 3 years ago was like 7.5 out of 10. Gina, hello, dear. How are you? Hope you're doing well. I just ruined everyone's anticipation for Scream 7. Now, I'll tell you a little something that most of you probably don't know. Sarah Michelle Gellar, yeah. Well, she's the best actress. You know, the acting was weak, I think, in this. You have Courtney Cox's two understudies are millennials. Spoiled, I want to get to the top, but I don't want to work for it. You know, I thought that, look, maybe the actress from Yellowstone is a better actress. Maybe it was just the part she was playing. She's, you know, some people are great, but not suited. You know, Al Pacino and De Niro are great, but they're not suited for rom-coms and love scenes. Doesn't mean they're not great. Maybe this just wasn't her thing. But it's entertaining enough. It's entertaining enough. I'll tell you a little secret that an actor once told me. Usually, when you see reruns, usually if a series runs 6 or 7 years, the reruns aren't of season 5, 6, and 7. They're usually of 1, 2, and 3. The reruns, they want the best. Usually a series is peaked at 4 years to 5 years. Very rarely is it better than that. So the actors have their footing, they know their characters, and then they start getting old. That's why reruns of The Odd Couple, you always saw reruns, it was like season 1 to 4. Because it gets silly usually. Series that are on their last legs, like The Odd Couple, what they did was they brought in guest stars. Pernell Roberts, Roy Clark.
I couldn't find that in your Apple Music library.
Because I didn't ask you anything. See? Everyone's listening, even when you don't think so. Oh, gee, no, you're not a grandmother. You're 40. I'll just dox you now and tell everyone how old you are. Yeah, she's a wonderful breath of fresh air, Emanuele. I went to Lenny's Clam Bar tonight. I had chicken parmesan with no sauce, galamad, that's how you say it. And had a really good time. Went to the track with my friend Al, who does all horse racing all the time. He's terrific. And did okay. Didn't lose. That's what I mean by doing okay. Emmanuel, you had a bad day? Well, let me go up on the thing here. What happened? Mopping up water. Oh my God, be careful in the electrical room. Oh my God, that's saying like, oh God, I'm in hell. Give me the Parker. I want to wear it. I'm sorry, Emmanuel. Be careful. The electional room or the electoral room? What do you got? What are you voting in your house? I know what you mean. Be careful, please. I am the worst all-time handyman. I've done projects that would have costed. My English professor's rolling his grave right now. That would have cost me $300 if I had someone come in. It ended up costing me $2,000 because I didn't originally have someone come in and I tried it. Yeah, I am the worst. I could screw up putting if I had a funeral home, if I bought a funeral home today, no one would die anymore. They'd have a cure to everything. No one would die and I go bankrupt. I cannot do anything when it comes to, I can play the drums, I can play guitar, I can write music, I can play the piano a little, but I suck at trying to put a light bulb in. But I admit it because I learned a long time ago. It's more important to know what you don't know because what you don't know could hurt you more than what you know. Cavatelli or Gabarillo. Okay. You drove a long way to meet people. Gina, I'm going to guess you drove 45 miles. Let's see how good a guesser I am. Jesus, I'm sorry, Emmanuel. Please be careful with that. Yeah, be careful with that, Emmanuel. You never know. But now I've watched other Scream movies. Of course, I've watched them all. Now, I have to tell you, when I look at horror movies, they've changed. They're so different now. They're not in black and white anymore. I will tell you the one though that stands the test of time for me, and that's the Friday the 13th. To me, that's incredible. You know, first of all, Jason Voorhees, Camp Crystal Lake. It's ingrained in pop culture, right? You can't forget those two names. Camp Crystal Lake is like leave the gun, take the cannolis to the Godfather. And people don't watch the TV series. There was a TV series, believe it or not. And there were a lot of guest stars. You had the Gremlins actor, I forget his name. You had a Christmas Story, Zach Ward. But I think it's real good. I think it stands the test of time. I really do. And it is my favorite. But to be totally honest, it is until you tell me that you have Nightmare on Elm Street on stream and I can watch it. That, to me, is incredible. First of all, it started about 12 or 13 years before Scream, so it was an 80s franchise. And it's a slasher film. And it's Wes Craven. Wes Craven, arguably the best. And you had B actors like you would have in any of these. Now, Courtney Cox is not a B actress. For television, she was an A. She's a B movie star. But, you had John Saxon, right? Who was from, what was he from? Medical Center? That show in the late 60s, early 70s. Robert Englund, who no one ever knew. And then you had Johnny Depp, who became a tremendous star. And it's a group of teens. It's always a group of teens because they're stupid enough to get in trouble. Other people would be laying under the bed with the lights out with a gun. And they're targeted by Freddy Krueger. He's an undead child killer. And he murders you through your dreams because all the parents burned them alive in that little village or wherever they live. Now, I always thought that series was the scariest because we all can relate to dreams. We've all had bad dreams. We have not had people dressed in Ghostface grabbing us from behind. And if we have, it was in our dreams. So dreams are the most realistic thing you could hit us with. And you hit us right where we all do every day. We dream. I remember when it was released. I went with my girlfriend. It was released in 84. I started dating her on the 15th. It came out the week before. We went to see it like on the 12th or 13th. And it was great. I mean, people lined up to watch this thing. And it's actually been preserved in the National Film Registry, the Library of Congress, for being culturally and historically, aesthetically significant, like I think Groundhog Day, Back to the Future, those kind of films. Now, you have a teenager. She wakes from a terrifying dream of a disfigured man. He became the 80s big Halloween costume. And just a really, really great series. A series that I think is better, honestly, than um, Scream. But then again, I was younger when that was out. Yeah, Danae. Yeah, I'm not really too worried right now that someone in Ghostface is going to jump out at me. But when I go to sleep, I can't control it. Every one of us have had that nightmare where we were either nude, too much information, huh? Or trying to run and we're not really going anywhere. We know who the person is, but they look totally different. I was dreaming of Colby, but he was a cat. You know, it's dreams are scary. And I will actually, yeah, I love Halloween. I love it because it signifies the beginning really. After Halloween, the next day signifies like the holiday season for me. Halloween is like Memorial Day to the summer. That's what Halloween is to the winter. Right, there are different types of horror. I remember Burnt Offerings was a great movie with Oliver Reed. I think that was the one. It was Burnt Offerings, mid-70s, Karen Black. That was really good. Really good movie. Oliver Reed was a good actor. Karen Black, she was good. It was around 1976 it came out. And then I've told the story where my first horror movie I ever saw, I lived on West State Street in Bensonhurst. And boy, did this family have an effect on my life. The DeChiricos. They were about 10 years older than my parents. And they lived about 8 houses away, West 8th Street. And I used to go into the basement and hang out. And the babysitter, Marianne, was my babysitter. And she got me into the Beatles. Well, her brother, who was about 19, brought me to see Night of the Living Dead. And the problem was I was about 7 or 8. And I mean to tell you, maybe a week or two ago, I stopped being scared. That destroyed me. Can you imagine a 7-year-old in black and white? It was scary as shit. And that was my first foray into the horror world. Then I remember in the early 70s, my mother, I used to drive her so crazy. We went to see my grandparents out in Long Island. She dropped me off at the movies, picked me up 2 hours later. And I forget what movie it was, but it was around 1971. And it was a great one, but I can't remember which one it was. I've gone back and back. I always thought it was Burnt Offerings, but that was like 76. The Sentinel was good. The Sentinel, if you remember a guy in The Sentinel that had all like bumps on his face, I knew him. He lived off Avenue U in Bensonhurst. I knew him. He made $2,000 for that movie. The Sentinel was filmed on the BQE, the Promenade. That's where that house was. And I remember that one. Yeah. Danae, it's true. And I'll tell you something. I always had this little thing why we loved horror movies. It's kind of like with, people that want to live on the edge, they go on roller coasters because all the reward, they don't have any consequences, and 3 minutes later they get off the ride. But the psychology behind it, truly, fear isn't everyone's, and I've done this with life and health coaching. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people would spend a fortune. Some people would run in the opposite direction. But Some people just love frightening experiences, but a cyclone is, or a roller coaster, right? Some people just consume it. They love horror, and American Horror Story, which is a great series. Every year, it's a different theme. I went like 11 or 12 seasons. The Walking Dead, haunted theme parks, King novels. We all crave frightening experiences, and fear is not exactly a positive emotion, is it? So why would we? You know, you lie in bed watching It Chapter 2. Room seems to be darker. It's not a pleasant feeling. So, what is it about horror films? Why are we drawn to them? And why are we willing to wait online, like at a screen premiere? Why are we willing to go out of our way where a lot of people would avoid it? So, I always thought it was to experience stimulation. Exposure to terrifying acts, or even the anticipation of those acts, can stimulate us mentally and physically, and in imposing ways, which is the thing, negatively in the form of fear, anxiety, positively excitement or joy, right? So, watching a horror movie, right, it activates both those stimulation doors within the mind. The most pleasure experience at the most fearful moment, right? Because fright can trigger adrenaline, and that's heightened sensation and surging energy, right? And I think we gain experiences that we don't need, novel experiences. Like when people ask me when I was DJing, if I tell them, if I don't have this song, you don't need it. Apocalypse horror films. It allows us to live in an alternate reality, right? It even can help us in a sense of accomplishment. Visiting a haunted house, which I did in Pennsylvania, being adventurous in a way that makes us feel daring and gives us some bragging rights too, especially if you're young. I went to the hotel at Jim Thorpe in Pennsylvania, which is known for being haunted. And you know me, I tell you the truth, I did have an experience. Another reason we seek is we all have a dark curiosity. Our curiosity in our psyche has always been dark, right? Hannibal Lecter. We try to think about what he thinks. Some of us are very capable of possibly knowing what someone like us is capable of. Can someone really be like Hannibal Lecter? Can you really snap like that? He was a doctor. How did he snap? You start asking yourself questions. So it's like a pseudo character study in the darkest part of human condition just by spending $400 to go to a movie. But we have like a protectiveness in us. Like I talk about one of my students for relationships. Some of us derive pleasure from being horrified as we do in dysfunctional relationships. And there's a couple of different stages, but basically three in the pseudo derivative pleasure mode, which they call in psychology. We need to feel physically safe. We need a safety frame. Evil could be doing terrible acts in front of us. But if we totally believe that it's very distant from us, we're just watching a movie and it really can't harm us, we're okay. But some of us believe that the evil entity is coming out of the screen to hurt us, thus nightmares every night. Then it won't be fun anymore. You won't be happy you went when you wake up shaking. Detachment. We can psychologically detach from a horror experience. When we see a psychotic murderer chasing down a victim that's all bloody, right? We can detach by reminding ourselves that they're just actors. And if they're really acting great, it's happening. They're selling it. And the third is the protective frame that involves our confidence in controlling and managing what we encounter. If we visit a haunted house and a bloodthirsty zombie charges at us in full costume, right? We'll feel confident, like on that roller coaster, because we know we'll overcome the danger. We could easily outrun the slow zombie that's coming after you, right? So, people that don't have these three attachments don't love horror movies. Higher sensation seeking people, people that need thrill and excitement, bungee jumpers, stuff like that, they seek out and enjoy more horror related experience. If you have a lower sensation, you'll avoid them. Now, I'll tell you my story. I went to the hotel with Jim Thorpe Inn. Yes, Danae. Hey, Maria. I went to the inn at Jim Thorpe, and I was told that I'm making up the room. It was on the second floor. Let's say room 212. There was a murder. I was on the third floor. Totally, like, if you went to that room, right, and I'm standing in front of it, okay, if I turn around to face the wall, 20 feet, I'd walk to my left, then 60 feet down the hall, take the elevator to the third floor, get out, make a left, another 30 feet. So I was pretty far away from it. So I felt the door, the whole nonsense. I'm in the bathroom of my room, which had an emergency exit in the hallway right next to the door. And I got out of the shower and I smelt a burning. And the person I was with, I called the person over. I said, "Do you smell something?" The person said, "No." Okay. 5 minutes later, I smell it again. And now the person's on the bed sitting, and I'm like whispering, like, so a ghost can't hear me. "Come here, come here, come here, come here." I said, "Smell." "Oh, yeah, now I smell it, a burning." I get ready. Well, I was getting ready for dinner. I go down and leave the building. Come back a couple of hours later. Now there's someone at the front desk. "Hi, how are you?" Wanted to see the key that we were staying there. I said, "I got to tell you, I thought the haunted floor was the second floor." And she smiled. I said, "Because I'm in room whatever it was, 312, and I smelled like fire." She said, "Oh, well, this hotel burnt down 70 years ago and a fireman was killed right on that outside exit." I said, the exit door?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "No one told me that. I thought someone died in the second floor." She goes, "Oh, yeah, there too." I said, "What happened?" She said, these two people were having an affair, a woman and a guy. They made a plan to meet at that hotel many years ago, probably 70 years ago or something. The woman went to the second floor, that room 2 whatever that I visited. The guy went to the third floor. They got their signals crossed. She thought he didn't show up, and she killed herself in the room. He was there in the hotel all along. They got the rooms mixed up. Now, if you read about it, the inn at Jim Thorpe, people have said their shoes were turned upside down when they woke up. Music started blasting from the alarm clock. And it's real. Now, there was a really good one in New York. I think upstate New York. Well, I was going to go to it. But honestly, this freaked me out a bit. I definitely smelled that smoke. And I don't go for that stuff, you know. And I had no reason for my mind to play a trick on me because I had I had no idea the guy, fireman, died on that side of the building. I thought it was the other side in the second floor. In fact, I think when I booked, I think I purposely booked not on the second floor, to be honest with you. That stuff freaks me out. I'm not magical, Danae, but I tell you the truth, and that's the truth. I did smell the smoke, and the person I was with didn't smell it the first time. And then the second time, like 5, 10 minutes later, after I shaved, I went, "Come here, come here, come here." Like I'm lowering my voice, like, "Oh, the ghost won't hear me." And then I said, "Smell." And she says, "Oh, yeah, yeah." "Oh, what is that?" And it was smoke. And she said, the lady downstairs said, "Yeah, people have experienced that." So I'm a believer. I don't know that other hotel in New York I was going to go to. They said it's the most haunted. People don't get through a night there. I'll tell you which one it is because I'll remember the name. I'm looking on my phone right now. It is let's see. I believe it's the Sagamore, where they've had experts and they've run out. Now, I'm no hero. No matter what I think, you know what, Danae, that I'm magical? The only magic I possess is I can get someone really annoyed before anyone else can. I'm real good at that. But yeah, so that really happened. Now, I would show you guys something if I want you to see me in my bathrobe. Hold on. Hold on. It's crazy. Now, I have I can't find it now. I'll find it another time. But there are really Salem. Yeah, well, Salem is, they're probably still doing stuff at Salem. But Salem's scary. Salem is scary. I'm just looking for something here for you. Hmm. I'm not sure where it is, but it's scary. I really want to find it because I always tell you guys I hate when people do that. Oh, I gotta show you something. I forget it. If I could find this. Okay, maybe I can find it now. It is one of the scariest. Okay, I'm going to show you this. My room's a mess. You're going to have to deal with it. There it is. Okay. Oh, actually, you see the screen behind me. You've seen the picture of my dog, right? My son was on the train, and that was on the floor when he was staring at the floor. That's the floor of the train. I swear to God. That's the floor of the train. He stared down at the floor. He took the picture, right? And this is a caricature of my dog. He was on the train crying right after he died, said, I need a sign from you. Looked down and it was there. I believe. Oh, I took his necklace off. His necklace is over there. But it's, I believe in that stuff. But I think it really is cool to go to those places. Gee, that I'm gonna, I have to do it again because this is Colby in my arms. Okay? My son looks down at the floor a couple of days after he died. It's, and this is what he sees. That's the floor. And it was, you see it? That's the floor of the LIR. Look at that face on the floor. He took the picture. Yeah, Maria. I swear on his life that I'm not joking, that this, he called screaming after seeing this on the floor of the Long Island Railroad. So last night, I'm sitting with him on the Long Island Railroad and he's very upset and he sees this. A little harder to make out, but look close. It's crazy. Danae, absolutely correct. In fact, that's so good, I'm going to originate it. I told her to say it, people. I'm joking. Yeah, it's crazy. But that first one, no one can tell me that's not him. And how I know is because even if I wanted to see it so badly and someone else wanted to see it so badly, like my son, I showed it to two other people. One said, oh my God, that's Colby. And I used to have him sitting here. See, first you see me. Now you don't. I used to have him sitting there on the bed next to me when I do this. This is his little stuff down, and I keep it here to remind me, not that he's gone because that would be pretty stupid, but that he's still around. They watch out for us. They do. But that was Colby. That was scary. Now, Gina, I was teaching the day Colby died. It's turning into a fucking Barbara Walters special now. They're going to be tears, rope. Gee, just stay here for 1 second. I know this is very hard for you. But I really need you to see this. I'm looking. If I could find it. This was an hour before he passed away. I put him on the paper. He walked. Now I put him on the paper. He walked around, right? If you could see it, he couldn't walk without falling anytime. He did that when I put him down. I went to work. I call, how's he doing? And my son says, Dad, when are you getting home? I said, I'll be home by I was teaching from 1:30 to 3, get home about 3:30, quarter to 4. Oh, how far are you? How far are you? How far are you? I should have known something was wrong. He hit me when I got to the door. Colby passed. That night, I had to go to New Jersey. Colby was born in Arizona. I'm stuck at the Verrazano Bridge in standstill traffic with this picture on my phone. You see him there. It's on it's on the thing. I'm staring at it. We're at a standstill. I said, I miss you. It was like 4 hours, 3 hours ago. They came to take him at 7. I'm there at 9, and he was in the house from like 1:30 to 2. We had to wait for people to come. So I look to the left. There's a canine unit with a picture of a dog right there. And to the right, an Arizona Ice Tea truck. And he was born in Arizona. Coincidence? Maybe. Am I making too much out of it? Possibly. Or maybe there just is something like the picture on that floor, that they are here for us. And we're not making it up. Danae, is that true? I didn't know that. You know what, Danae, look, light from a planet. The planet could be dead 7 years, the star, and you get it here. It takes 7 years for the light to travel. There's no reason to possibly believe that the energy, that a dog was here 17 years, that all the energy's gone. It doesn't make sense. There's static electricity when you catch yourself. Doesn't make sense. There could be that much of a bond. I totally believe. And I know it's no coincidence. My son needs him more than anything. He's suffering very badly. And he's getting signs. And thank goodness. I agree with you, Danae. I did not have him cremated. It is a new thing, Aqua something. It cost me a lot more money, believe me. I could have bought 2 dogs for what it cost me for funeral wake. But what happened was it's in a liquid. The body breaks down with cool liquid. I did not want fire. And they gave us 2 bottles of the liquid, and it's good for growing flowers. And it's good to grow flowers and stuff, and you have them as part of your yard or whatever. And I would be honored if you have a yard. I would send you some. And so you can meet my boy. I don't believe there are coincidences. And I think if we call something a coincidence, it's because we don't want to have to deal with it. You know how I know there's something? G and Danae and Maria and everybody on here. Emmanuel, Mitch. I'll tell you how I know. My sister Nancy went in for a stent. When they opened her up, she needed triple bypass or quadruple. So they stopped the stent. They had to schedule it for 2 days later. I will, G. Thank you. My sister wakes up from the operation and says, I had the weirdest dream. The doctor said, you shouldn't be dreaming. You're on Propanol. She said, don't tell me. He goes, I'm not getting you upset, but you shouldn't be. She goes, I dreamt. I will send it to you, G. I'll call you during the week. I want to say hi to you anyway. And I'd be honored if you did that. My sister said she was in a big room. There was a big table, and my father, who was deceased, and my grandfather was deceased, are pleading her case to give her some more time. She didn't see God. I don't remember, honestly, now if she heard the voice. I don't remember. It's 9 years ago. And he agreed. Nancy got out of the dream, told her kids about the dream. I love you, blah, 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 blah. After she said everything and told them things that she always wanted to tell them and never did, her eyes went in the back of the head. That was it. That's not a coincidence. They were filling out her papers to go home. She was perfectly fine. And they couldn't explain it. Negotiating to give her more time. And she got like 8 or 9 hours to say things she had never said. Nancy was not one for that nonsense. She walked up out of John Edwards and said, this guy's full of shit. Nancy was not that kind of woman. And she said, then there's something out there. Yeah, I don't know, Danae. They just said that. Maybe to charge me $4,000 that I paid for all this stuff. I don't know. But I'm kidding. But 2 bottles of it. It's natural. I don't know. Let me see if I can actually. They did a beautiful thing. I had these made up. Well, it's over there. I had urns. Oh my God, the money I spent, I could have gone to Hawaii. But that was my boy. And it kills me every day. It really kills me. I can't believe he's not here. It uses alkaline hydrolysis to speed up a body's natural decomposition. Gentle stream of flowing water combined with potassium hydroxide to break down the organic material, leaving the calcium phosphate remains of teeth and bones. Yeah, they said people use it. Yeah, then I went that way. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I could not do regular cremation. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And this cost me a lot more and I didn't care. So I won't go on vacation this summer. Gee, you know what happened last night? Last night I'm leaving the front door. I called Uber to the Long Island Railroad because I didn't want to stop parking my car. The movie was at 9. I went outside. We're waiting for Uber for it said 2 minutes, but meanwhile I'm out there 3 minutes. I said, it's cold and we're going to be on the train. Let me go in and just get a sweatshirt to put under this thing. So I opened my door. When I opened my front door, there's a walk-in closet right there. And if I look to the left, Colby's bed was always near the couch. And even if I came back in because I forgot something, I'd always say goodbye again to him. I'd always say, I have to go over again. You know what I mean? This time I looked over to say something and he wasn't there. Danae, I tell people that all the time. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling when you're standing over a casket and you say, I really love you, man, if the person's in heaven, they don't give a shit and they're not there. So tell them when they're alive. I tell all my friends, we get bro hugs and all that shit. Why be afraid to tell people you care for them? Why? It doesn't make sense. I'm a firm believer that being honest is much stronger than any tough guy. Really just, if you have the confidence to say you're wrong, if you have the confidence to act in a manner that's not the macho nonsense. I know, G. I know. Do you know that I haven't taken a vacation for like the last year and a half, 2 years? Not that I would leave him anyway for more than 20 hours. Like, I wouldn't even go to Atlantic City for 20 hours, leaving him alone. When he was 10, I wouldn't do it. '18. Yeah, Colby was 17. Nor should you ever be the same. There's a new normal. Gee, I guessed 40 to 45 miles away you drove. Was I right? What the hell is that over there? You see that thing in the... Now I'm getting freaked out now. But no, it's scary. And this is stuff that I'm not scared of. I'm not. I feel talking about him keeps him alive. And I know Gina went through a very trying time. We would talk about it on here and texting. I agree. Gee, yeah. I think it's a testament when you aren't the same. That's how important he was. You are never the same. But like you said, Gina, that's okay. That's okay. Because that means that he lives on. The only way we've truly, without the energy part, have them live on right now, all of us just went, hey, to Timmy and Colby. If we depended on the energy part, we're on social media now. It would be in your house only for you. By talking about our pets, we just introduced all of us to both Timmy and Colby and Rocky. That's why you talk about them. Because they deserve to be talked about, because we talk about nonsense bullshit. If we could talk about that, we could talk about the little ones who loved us to death. And I really do believe they feel it. I believe the energy's strong. I know the energy right here tonight is strong. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm sorry about the lateness and the back and forth. And G, thank you for staying in. And I will send you that liquid, G. I'd be honored. I'd love you to do that. Yeah, he was. Danae, I'm sorry. It's terrible. But anyway, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. You can see my shorts every night. You know that. But I will see you soon. All right. God bless you. I love you guys. Talk to you soon.